Hey everybody, welcome back to Record-ology. I am joining you from deep down within the bowels of the Record-ology archives, and this is just a small part of those archives, if you can believe it. We've got some vinyl back there, we've got some gear, some of which has been on the show, a lot of which has not yet, but maybe someday. Hopefully will be someday. Anyway, we've got something super cool to show you today. This was a gift from a viewer. Huge thank you. This is a Singer portable record player. I'm thinking from the 60s, maybe early 70s. Not 100% sure. It's kind of a mystery because if you Google Singer portable record players, you will see a certain model kind of repeatedly. But this one, I was only able to find one instance of it. So it's sort of a mystery. We're going to test it out. We're going to tear it down. We're going to see how it works, learn all we can about it. You're not going to want to miss this. Welcome to Record-ology. And here it is. This is the Singer portable record player. And yes, it's the same Singer that makes and has made sewing machines. They're kind of well known for that fact. Well, they made at least two now, because I always knew the one that you see all the time online, portable record players. This one I cannot find but one other picture. So I don't know the model number. I don't know the year. I'm guessing late 60s, early 70s, just by the looks of it. But yeah, it's a complete self-enclosed battery-operated record player. There's no cords or cables. You can't connect it to anything. It is simply a self-contained battery-operated unit with an outer shell, outer casing made of red plastic. As you can see on the back, we've got the plastic hinges. We've got this piece here. Can you guess why it's got 2 feet right here and then one up here? That's so that it can stand upright, just like that. And up on top here, we've got a little plastic clip. I'm not going to spoil the reveal yet. We have a hollowed out handle. And on the bottom, we have these plastic nubs that function as feet, made in the USA, patents pending. Wonder if they ever got their patents sorted out. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and unclip it here. And it's amazing how bright and vibrant it is. It shows its age a little bit, but, this could just as easily be, 5-10 years old as 50, 60 years old. This is really amazing stuff. So let's go ahead and do the big reveal. Okay, this is awesome. Let's start with the lid. Yes, the lid has something to talk about, if you can believe it. You will see this little piece here, that little piece there, and you could tell there used to be a little piece attached right there. That was to store records in. This literally would be a record holder. You would hold records in the lid. It was pretty common for portable units back in the day to do that. And then we have this thing right here, which is to, presumably, I'm just thinking through this real time. Yep, this had been knocking around loose, and I bet you that's for the 45 adapter, and an interesting 45 adapter too. It's kind of unlike any I've ever seen before. Look at that. It's taken on some of the red coloring. Probably was used for a number of years when it was new, then put into storage for like half a century, until it was recently discovered. Again, a good friend of the channel found this in an antique store and at his own expense just shipped it to us to review. So a huge, huge, huge thank you. This is really cool. What I like about this is we're faced with something that's not super typical. This isn't like the same Skywind mechanism that we see so many times. This is unique. And I would say that this is unique to this player. I haven't seen it even on other units of the period. Certainly, there are aspects that, carry over from one to the other, just a product of their era. Here's that loose piece that broke off under the lid. It could be super glued on. I think that could be fixed. But it's a very unique thing. Starting off by the fact that, there's a lot here. There's a lot of things going on. So we've got a 9-volt battery up here, as you can tell. Now, there's 2 separate power sources, the 9-volt and then the batteries under here. My guess is that one of them powers the amplifier, the volume control, and the other one powers the motor itself. I'm guessing this is for the amplifier, and I'm guessing that's for the motor. And then it's just got this little plastic cap that goes right over the top, sort of pinches in place there. Interesting how they engineered it. It's a pretty deep cabinet, as you can see here, but this still protrudes, which is pretty interesting. And then down here, there's a metal nut that sort of stays attached to this piece, but allows you to unscrew it. Oh no, it doesn't stay attached, it comes off. All right, and then using it to kind of grab up there, we see that there are in fact 2 batteries. The individual that sent this to us even sent the batteries, so we've got new batteries to try it out with. There's the inside of the battery compartment. Shows you which direction to put the batteries in. It takes 2 D-cell batteries. Obviously the unit is a lot lighter when the batteries are not in it. But yeah, completely self-contained. So there's no power cord. There's no external audio connections in or out. It is totally self-contained. So this is probably geared towards teenagers back in the day. And, you know, you take some of your favorite records. You can fit, I don't know, there's, I think 2 or 3 in there right now. So maybe 5 or 6 of your favorite records with you as a self-contained portable music. I mean, keep in mind, this was the iPod of the day. This was the iTunes, the Spotify, all that stuff. So teenagers and music are always a thing. They always are connected and associated with each other. And the technology may change, but the need, the urge to identify with music, to share it, doesn't leave. So you're going to go hang out with a friend, bring over your record player and some records, and that's really what this was designed for. And because there are no external connections, the sound output is its own speaker. Just like our Fisher-Price unit that we've reviewed in the past, and the Sesame Street unit as well. This portable contains its own speaker. It's obviously mono, so there's no stereo here. This is a low fidelity, relatively speaking, device. Even when it was brand new, it's not designed to be, you know, the highest of the high fidelity. This is portability over quality, I guess, if you had to put it that way, because just like an MP3 is very much like about portability and ease of access and sharing and saving and storage, more so than the sound quality, because it gets the job done, but it's not the highest fidelity. So even the need for a lo-fi but portable music option remains true to this day. And here we go. We've got a Platter. You'll notice there's no Platter mat or anything on it. There was apparently like felt pads. The glue is dried up and blown away a long time ago. Either we could put new like felt pads or rubber pads in here, or we could even just put a small Platter mat on top of there. That's something we can experiment with. Here is the tone arm. It is a half shell red plastic tone arm, and underneath, here's a close look at the cartridge. It's unlike any I've seen before. I was assuming it would be sort of like the classroom style, where you can pull the stylus out and replace it by pinching the front and pulling it out. And that's the one where the cartridge and the stylus are one and the same. But this looks like something completely different. So I don't know if this is like an older type crystal cartridge or what. So definitely educate me there. Not 100% sure. Interesting. Look at that piece of copper that is attached to the bottom there of the cantilever. Perhaps used also for grounding purposes. There's only 2 wires coming out of the back of this unit. So I'm not sure about what sort of compatibility this would have with modifying it. The good news is I do know that the stylus does work, the cartridge does work. So that's good news. We'll be able to test it out. You can see the wire braid going back, and then the base is simply, it looks like a screw. This just rotates seemingly freely. I don't know if it can go, yeah, this can go 360 degrees, so that's pretty interesting. Probably not a good idea to wind it up too much, but you know, it weighs what it weighs, and we'll measure that, but it's interesting. This is definitely a plastic basic use of technology. Again, it's that portability over sound quality or build quality necessarily, but this thing has lasted now for how many decades? So it's doing a good job so far. Like I said, it has its own built-in speaker. As you can see, there's this sort of grid over the top of it. I haven't, tried to clean this off or anything yet. The speaker is going to be behind this white plastic piece. And interesting how they do that. You can sort of see in person. Let me see if I can zoom in and capture it on camera. It's a lot harder actually to see on camera, but there you can see the rubber surround of where that speaker is right behind that opening, obviously to protect anything being jammed in there, yet the sound comes out okay. Also, we can see the knobs down here. We have an on-off volume control, and then the speed select. I thought this was really interesting. The speed select is a knob. It is not a two-position switch. Assumedly, this is 45 and 33, but this is a variable knob, so you kind of have to set the speed by ear, which is a pretty interesting way to do it. Let's go ahead and flip it on, and I'll show you what happens. And the tone arm, by the way, just sits in this little rest. It doesn't snap down into position, but it seems to be held in place by the lid when you put the lid on. And yeah, the lid does hinge off all the way. Something that I've seen carried forward on some modern portables like the Crosley, Collegiate, and others. Rather than this just pivoting back like this and staying fixed, it comes all the way off. That took me a little getting used to with that. I was like, really, is that good? Seems like it should stay hinged, but as you can see here, this is something that's been done for some time. So if we turn it on, everything spins, but listen to that. So we got some noise there. I'm guessing this is rim drive. We're gonna find out in a minute. And I'm guessing that it needs some oil or some sort of lubrication. We're gonna find out. The only way to get into it is with these screws on the plinth. The plinth is plastic. One of the screws is missing, so I'm probably not the first one under the hood, but we're gonna find out in a minute. And then again, this only way to change speeds is with this knob. All the way down to that slowness and all the way up to this speed. And it changes the pitch of that distortion. However, it does function. So let's do a brief test. And like I said, I do like, and I think it's unique, this 45 adapter. Obviously matches the color of that. But if you put on a record with a large hole, the slope of these plastic pieces just assures that it'll go right on there. Obviously only plays 7-inch records or smaller. You're not going to be able to put on anything larger because it's, it just wouldn't fit. So this is for singles, this is for 45s. Or for 33s and other records that have the small hole as well. Here's a British 45 that's going to have a small hole, yet it spins at 45 RPM. And if I place this over, there's no lift or anything. You just have to kind of grab onto the head shell there. So it's kind of the Wild West of speed, right? There's the good news is with it being variable, you should be able to get it dialed in perfectly. But how do you know what is perfect on this machine? How do you tell what that perfect and ideal speed is? So let's find out what's under the hood, what makes it tick. I'm going to remove the batteries and then we'll look under the plinth. Okay, I've got the batteries out, the battery compartment's removed. By the way, this one is, remember these where you just snap it on top of the 9-volt and then it's just got a compartment down there. I did pull the knobs off. I think I've got everything removed. I'm assuming the tone arm will just stay fixed, but I'll try to be careful as I lift up that I don't yank on any wires or anything. But look at that. It's totally self-contained. So this tray, look at that. Probably some old battery acid, perhaps. Interesting. There's nothing in there. So everything is self-contained in this unit. So let's see what's underneath, what makes this thing tick. Belt driven, what? It's belt driven. Interesting. Look at this. There's the motor, not your typical motor. Oh yeah, look at that belt. It is dried out. It is loose. This one seems a little bit better. Interesting. Look at that. Isn't that cool? Okay, that really surprises me. And the movement is kind of choppy. It's like it's not smooth. And I don't know where that's being introduced. So we'll put some oil on there. That's really cool. I've never seen anything like it. That's really, really cool. There's the 9-volt battery. Nope, that's the D cells. So the D cells go to the motor. So that is, power to the motor and then grounded there. Very, very interesting. So where does that 9-volt? That goes to the board. Okay. That is fascinating. It's amazingly clean under here. We've got an 8-ohm, 3-watt speaker from Japan. We've got the on-off switch right there. Look at that. That is so cool. Japan. And then this is our variable resistor for the speed control. As you can see, it rotates depending on what speed you want. Look at that coil it makes contact with. That little piece of metal, little piece of copper, changes the resistance depending on whereabouts on this coil. And it's just a circuit from the right side to the left. Isn't that awesome? And depending on what part of that circuit that you're connected to, you get varying degrees of speed. That is amazing. And there's another look. Look at that motor. Definitely not the motor we usually see. This stuff looks like it could have been made yesterday. It's in a fantastic condition. Just amazing. Really, really cool. All right. And there goes the Platter. Okay. So if you look under there, you can see definitely not rim drive. Most of these portables back in the day were rim drive. So I'm really surprised this one is not. That's fascinating. So I'm going to wipe it down. Give it, and also the lid needs a wipe down as well. Then I'm going to put the batteries in here, and I'm going to try and play it inverted and see if we can figure out what specifically is the issue. If it's the belt slipping, if it's the motor needs some oil, figure it out. All right? Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is turn this thing on. When you've got a shell like this, it's actually kind of handy to use it to support the unit even when it's upside down. Now the first thing I'm going to do is take some contact cleaner and just try to blast off anything on there we don't want. Well, got quiet all of a sudden. I wonder if that fixed it. Could have been something old on there just gunking it up. Wow, I've never had deoxit work so quick. That's amazing. Okay. Wow. There you go, guys. Deoxit. Actually, in this case, WD-40 contact cleaner. No, it's not WD-40 oil. It's WD-40 contact cleaner. I'm going to call that... Oh, wait a minute. Okay, our belt's slipping because of the moisture. Yeah, we're still spinning here. Yeah. So the slipping is probably because of the moisture. I'm going to try actually to add a little bit of oil. I'm just going to use a 3-in-1. Ideally, you'd want to use lithium grease, but in the absence of having any lithium grease and the impatience to order some before filming this, I'm just going to use what I got. So this is your basic 3-in-1 oil. Keep this off the belt as much as possible. So just 1 drop down the spindle there. 1 or 2 drops down that one as well. And I don't think I can hit the spindle shaft without hitting the belt on that. Okay, getting some of that resistance back, so that's good. Sounds like I would expect it to. I think that did it. Interesting how quickly the contact cleaner isolated or resolved the issue of the vibration noise. Very, very interesting. It's like $3-4 at Walmart. I'd recommend it. It's a lifesaver for potentiometers and stuff. In fact, while I've got this one accessible down here, I'm going to spray that one out too and try to get down under this one. Exercise it a little bit while I've got the... And it evaporates. Turn this on and off. Exercise it a little bit. It's a little gummy. Over the years, all of that gunk building up. All right, let's maybe put a drop of oil down here as well. That couldn't hurt anything. And again, I will need to eventually, this is just a piece of plastic, by the way. There's no metal to this whatsoever. I think that these little openings are just design piece. I don't think that they're a functional strobe or anything. I need to get, I'm just going to work that oil in a little bit. I need to get something in terms of a platter mat on here, but right now it should allow us to test just fine without it. Okay, we should be good to go. So let's go ahead and put on a record. Again, this will be a UK 45. You know what? Let's do one other thing. I just had an idea. Let's test the stylus downforce. This is always a question of Folks, will it damage my records? So let's find out. So let's put this guy on like that. Let's zero it out. Let's go ahead and see how much downforce this thing has. Okay, so it pegs out at 5 grams. So add 5 to whatever we got here, essentially. So 7.5 grams of downforce. That's considerable. I mean, that's more than a Crosley Cruiser. That's more than like a Victrola Portable. That's pushing the limits of what vinyl was designed to do. Arguably, vinyl can handle anywhere from 7 to 9 grams, which is something to keep in mind. Because how many people tell us, don't go with that modern stuff, it'll destroy your vinyl. Only go with vintage. Well, here we have vintage that's tracking more than a suitcase player. So see what I mean? There's so much misperception out there. That being said, this thing is just fine. It does a great job. And it's not designed, again, to be the super highest fidelity experience. It's designed to play records. And that it does. If you can get the pitch right. I'm having a hard time finding that pitch. Maybe we should start with some music I'm a little bit more familiar with. That's Emil's Telegraphic, and it's sort of like this synth wave music that I'm not as familiar with. So Long Tall Sally, I'm pretty sure I know what that's supposed to sound like. Let's go ahead and put our 45 adapter on. The motor noise is gone though. That's good. That's good. So let's put this on like that. I'm still going to have to play with this to get the pitch right. That's about right. All right, that's right. That's about right. That's about right. Setting this up with some friends on a spend the night, dancing before you have to go to bed, be at school the next morning. Imagine the memories that were made with this thing. That sounds about right. That sounds about right. David Wills, you guys. David Wills. Let's try another one here. Oops. I grabbed the Platter instead of the record. All right. Oh, some Hank Williams. Let's do some Hank Williams. All right. If these records were original to the player, I'm guessing this person was a country music fan. There's a tear in my beer. It sounds like a crystal cartridge to me. It really does, which would explain the tracking force. And crystal cartridges, sort of like ceramic, but even more so, have that harsh tonality. Super, super cool. This is awesome.
And all of the fat cats were there.
And let me say this too. This thing gets plenty loud. It's got a lot of punch, a lot of volume. So those, what do we see? 2 or 3 capacitors are doing their job. Obviously, this is transistorized as well. So there's no tubes or anything. And, transistors back in this era were still sort of a high-tech novelty, as it were, as things moved off of that, the old vacuum tubes / valves, as our friends in the UK call it. To have everything transistorized, miniaturized, meant cheaper production, and the perception at the time was it was a higher performer. So there you go, guys. The Singer portable record player. Very cool, very fun, very tactile. Did you notice how much fun it was just disconnecting from notifications, emails, texts, you know what I mean? All that Facebook stuff, and just going back in time, interacting with our music, with the device, learning how to fix it, how it works. Just interesting. I love this. This is the best part of doing this. To me, this is the best part of Record-ology. I love it. Hope you guys did too. All right, my friends, and that is going to do it for today. Again, a huge thank you for our viewer that sent this in. That was a big surprise and a huge blessing. And I would just, very, very caught off guard by the generosity and very thankful. And I'm thankful to each one of you too. Let me know down in the comments below what you think, if you had this, if you've ever seen one before, if you can help me with some of the information on it, that would be helpful as well. Don't forget to thumbs up, hit subscribe, all that good stuff. But that's going to do it for now, guys. Happy record hunting. We'll see you next time.